While inspecting the damage done by him, this man knelt in the driveway and looked under his car. What he saw next was unsettling. When buying a new house, you never know what you're getting yourself into. But 37-year-old Simon Marks just couldn't resist when he found a house for a bargain price in Luton, England. The paperwork was quickly signed and the transfer was already underway, so the man never questioned why its owner was in such a hurry to get rid of the house. A few months later, Simon excitedly unpacked his boxes and was eager to spend the first night in his new home. After a tiring weekend of moving his belongings back and forth, he climbed into his bed exhausted. He calculated the distance between his new house and his office, and it turned out to be shorter than before. He set his alarm for 8 a.m., but while he lay in the darkness he heard a strange sound. Trying not to breathe, he listened intently, and then he heard it again. It was coming from outside. The sound was dull and muted, like gravel scraping on metal. Simon became curious and got up and poked his head out the window, scanning the garden below. But nothing moved and everything was silent again. He went back to bed and was unaware that something was moving under his new house. The next morning Simon geared up his car, which suddenly lurched forward. He tried again, but the wheel seemed to be caught on something. Revving the engine until the car jumped backward, he let out a sigh of relief. But when he got out to see what had been stuck under the front wheel, his stomach dropped. Kneeling to take a closer look, Simon saw that the pavers of the driveway had cracked, and then right before his eyes, the driveway began to give in. He jumped back as the pavers broke with the sickening snap, then the concrete crumbled and fell into the earth. But as the dust began to settle, the crack in the ground revealed something truly unnerving. Now, Simon knew that his house had been built in the 1970s by the elderly couple who had lived there previously, but this hadn't been on the house plans. Simon then safely put his weight on the surrounding pavers and laid on his stomach and inched forward. He saw something in the earth and fetched a shovel and started digging the dirt. While digging, he saw a piece of metal sticking out from the soil. He uncovered it with his hands until he was able to get a grip on it, and then he pulled with all his might. But the rusted piece of metal wouldn't budge no matter how hard Simon pulled. He decided to try to dig around the mysterious object to free it from the earth. He kept digging further, only to discover that the metal piece was attached to something. But when he looked closer and saw the glint of a man-made object underneath, he knew he was dealing with something far more sinister. He pulled out his phone and called for backup. Simon's father Gerald raced to the scene, and without any professional tools or equipment, the pair got to work. They carefully began to remove the cracked concrete around the piece of metal, revealing a rectangular hole in the ground. They discovered a rusty ladder descending lower into the ground. They discovered a secret passage, which had been hidden underneath the driveway all this time. They wondered where did this passage lead to, and the only way to find it was to follow it. A shiver ran down Simon's spine as they began digging deeper. They dug out shovelful after shovelful of the densely packed mud and carted it away in buckets. Soon the pair had excavated around 5 feet of dirt, enough for them to climb down the ladder and investigate. What they found would shed some light on the house's past. As Simon climbed halfway down the ladder, a strange feeling crept over him. He ran back to the house to fetch his selfie stick with his phone firmly attached. He lowered himself into the hole. On the phone's screen, he saw that the underground passageway was hiding 2 rooms. Gerald thought he knew what they were looking at immediately, but they had to be sure. The elderly man who had sold the house to Simon was the original owner of the home, but he failed to tell Simon what lay underneath. The sounds he had heard the night before had been the earth finally giving way under the driveway as it fell into the secret room. Simon and his father stopped digging and began to do some research of their own. They looked up the plot number and then things became apparent very quickly. The house was built on a plot that was empty for a long time, and the plot was situated in a very strategic place in the town. Also, the house had been built in a very different era. The secret room under the ground was an air raid shelter. After searching for information online, Simon found out that the shelter had been built during World War II. The previous owner must have known it was there, and when he built the house and made a garden on top of it. Gerald could tell that the shelter that they had uncovered was definitely not an Anderson-style shelter. It had at least 2 rooms and was constructed from bricks and concrete. And as Simon and Gerald dug deeper into the shelter, they uncovered some unusual artifacts in one of the hidden rooms. They found a newspaper clipping of the Herald newspaper dated from the days of World War II, and one of the headlines read, "Luton Airport, is this the end?" This artifact offered a rare glimpse into British life during that time, but it wasn't the only relic they found. They kept on digging till they completely dug out the entire area. After making the monumental discovery, Simon felt that it was important for the world to know about their discovery, as it was a part of the rich history of their country which needs to preserve for the future generations. Simon and his father planned to restore the shelter and turn the place into a historical monument for everyone to see.